ready. I'm going to put the word out and then we are going to get started. Like always, whether chat fills up or not. And yeah, Tell It Tuesday is live. I know it's been a while since I've gotten to one of these consecutively. And like I said, with the move going on, it's touch and go. I almost didn't get behind the camera today because we're literally, everything is taped up right now. The place is being broken down. So it is harder to do these streams efficiently because we've got to pack up a lot of our good stuff. So it is touch and go, but I wanted to do these because there was a lot to talk about even on a Tuesday. And I want to open up with the trial of Elijah McClain. And it's not Elijah McClain's trial, it's the trial of the people convicted of murdering him. And if you're watching this and you still don't know who he is, I don't believe you've been watching the Bonnet Chronicles because I've talked about his story several times. It breaks my heart, not only as a mom of an autistic, now adult male, growing up in this world, having the fear of raising a black child, but having the double fear that their gentle nature will be abused and misconstrued by evil people with authority. What happened to Elijah is sick and sad, and I am worried, like a lot of other people, that the people that did this to him, that did this picture of him to the right, was what happened after the cops put him in the illegal chokehold. But then paramedics, because for some reason the paramedics in Colorado act as like backup to the police, injected him with ketamine and ended this young man's life. He was 23 years old, a gentle spirit that played violin for cats, a massage therapist. He really had so much going for him, and his life was snuffed out because they thought he was suspicious. Because he was walking around with a cold weather mask and was black. And it wasn't just cops. That's the part that fucks me up every time I think about this story. That it wasn't just officers of the law taking their job way too seriously in regards to a black male. Paramedics, too. Two paramedics decided that, well, we see the situation needs to de escalate, so we're just going to inject him with this stuff, despite knowing that it could have negative side effects. They didn't care. It was all a joke. And then what made matters worse, and what makes me really want these fuckers to go down and pay for what they did to Elijah, was the jokes at his memorial. Was the ha ha from the fucker who's getting convicted first to somebody saying, hey, it looks like you're making the choking sign at this memorial. And these fuckers got fired, but they should go to jail because they murdered an innocent black man who was just trying to walk home from the store buying a tea. If anybody's getting Trayvon Martin vibes, you should. Because it's almost always the same. We're just minding our own black business in our neighborhoods, which I know a lot of white people think, well, maybe he didn't belong in that neighborhood. It was his neighborhood. That's why he felt comfortable walking home. What he didn't think was going to happen to him is, as a citizen in his own area, that the police were going to roll up and end his life in such a horrific, brutal way. So I am begging the state of Colorado. You've seen what happened to George Floyd. His murderer, well, he didn't get the full amount that I think he should have got for literally being on tape, taking that man's life. He still did jail time. These murdering motherfuckers, every one of them, the paramedics, every cop that was involved in that night, especially those who decided to go to that memorial and mock him, need to do serious jail time. Because we are not going to teach people that law enforcement is not above the law. We are not going to teach people that black lives actually matter if this blatant act of murder is not responded to with a conviction. We are not going to get anywhere in this society if stuff like what happened to Elijah is not met with swift justice. I'm tired. I'm tired of seeing stuff like this. I'm tired of people trying to justify stuff like this. That's why the title tonight was just this societal acceptance of violence has come to a head. And we are tired of seeing innocent lives like this lost in the fray because people are like, what are we going to do, Ted? What can we do about it? It's like you don't want to do something about it. And it's very frustrating. And it leads into so many other things. We have Texas. And let me get Elijah's photo out of the way there. I know I've never lived in the state of Texas. I have family from Texas. My granddaddy was from Texas. And I don't want to hate on the state because while their local leadership and government is garbage, there are a lot of amazing people that I care about that still live in the state of Texas. There are amazing people that I don't even know that don't deserve the ire because Abbott's an asshole and idiot. But when I see stories like this young man's only crime was his hairstyle. And after the Crown Act passed, it is literally federally illegal for this school to do what they're doing to him, yet they keep punishing him because of this weird, archaic law that they put on their school books about hair length in young men. And even though he's pinned up his hair and tried to do everything to keep his culturally significant hairstyle from being burdensome, the school is still penalizing him for his natural hairstyle. And this is what we tell you. This is what insidiousness of racism, insidiousness of bigotry in the first place, because the long hair shit, that seems like something that they came up with in the 50s to be anti hippie. And especially in the 60s and 70s when hippies were just like, we're going to wear our hair no matter what. It feels like Texas is pushing back against anything that allows people to express themselves, feel openly liberated. Oh, no, you can't have that. But to punish a 17-year-old whose only crime is having his hair in a culturally significant way, thus denying him the ability to learn properly, the ability to sit in a seat that doesn't hurt his back, because their idea of penalizing him is having him sit in a cubicle on a stool with no back support for 8 hours, denying him lunch, proper lunch, all because his hair doesn't conform to their regulations. And when you look at this young man's picture, because I need people to understand how stupid and insidious this is. You look at this young man's picture, he is not wearing his hair in a distracting manner. And I know this picture seems little, but honestly, even up close, you see where he can mend it down. So it is not an issue of his hair being a distraction. It is a control issue in the state of Texas. And it is infuriating and insulting, especially after getting the Crown Act passed, that we still have to fight for our ability to just wear our hair natural. I know some of you know that I'm on my natural hair journey, even though I've dyed my hair purple. And I know some hair purists go, oh, Tin, you dyed your hair, so are you really natural? Natural means natural my way. If I want to wear my coils purple, I'll do it. I don't wear dreadlocks because to me it is a personal hair thing for people. To me, when the way I grew up with island culture, people who wore their hair in threads were Rastafarians. I understand now that it's not ironclad, and that a lot of people believe dreadlocks are a look that anybody who confidently wears them can rock them. But to me personally, I've always associated the look to Rastafarians. So I always felt it was disrespectful to me for non rosters to wear that look. And I'm always going to feel that way. I don't stop people from wearing dreadlocks. If that's the way you want to rock your hair, rock it. But I always felt weird for non rosters, whether you're black, white, or in between, to wear that hairstyle. And that was always my preference. And that is somebody with literal island roots. So, yeah, that was always how I felt about dreadlocks personally. But I always thought it was weird that our natural hair was always like treated less than in our society. So I was happy when they started passing the Crown Act on a national level. And welcome to the chat, King Art. It's just racism. And people really don't seem to understand that that's how insidious racism is. There is absolutely nothing. You see how pinned back, you don't even notice he has dreadlocks. But the way they try to control how people feel and express themselves is dangerous if we don't push back. It's dangerous because 8 hours on a stool with no back support, being literally punished because he won't shave his head. That's sick. And that is the obsessiveness of controlling us that we're up against. And what makes me sad is there are so many people that just want to throw in the towel. We'll just give them what they want this time. What does it matter? How many more generations of humiliation do we have to go through before we say enough's enough? How far does it have to go? We have seen what letting their control over our hair, over how we perceive ourselves, has led to in what happened to Elijah. I don't want to see this young man broken because he dares to want to wear his hair his way. In a good society, this wouldn't even be a distraction, and it honestly isn't. It is just he is going to school in probably one of the most racist states in our union still. And it's sad for me to say that because Texas is full of black and brown people who are just trying to survive and be happy. But they are up against the system that is literally stacked against something that they can't or shouldn't want to change about themselves. And they are far from the only ones. I know a lot of people don't like when I talk about serious topics. But one of the reasons I started these Bonnet Chronicles is to give voices to things that a lot of people don't want to focus on. They don't want to talk about. They want to turn a blind eye or it's not so bad because I don't see it on a regular. I can't do that because this stuff directly affects us. One of the things that made me realize today that I don't want to just take the day off, even though I'm tired from trying to get the house together so that we can move to a new house, is stories like this don't make the national news. Stories like this are often downplayed, swept under the radar. And I don't understand it. You have two dead models. Now, if they had been a certain demographic, it'd be all over the place. We'd be having wall to wall coverage on MSNBC, CNN, Fox News about, well, is there a potential serial killer? But because the two models happen to be black women who were found by their families, both of them, found by their families. And I don't know why it switched over to that story, and no offense to the NFL player. But because these two young women found by their families dead, barely a peep. I know that outside my Bonnet Chronicles, a lot of you might not hear this unless some true crime YouTuber picks it up. And I don't want this to be just a spectacle. I want this to be a call to arms because women are being attacked on a fundamentally scary level. It is not just about these women, but nobody wants to talk about women like this. So I definitely wanted to start off the topic with what happened to them because it doesn't make sense. And the question is, do you think a serial killer is on the loose? Well, who else would do this? You have a 31-year-old model, Melissa Mooney, who was found dead on Tuesday. You have Nicole Nikki Coates, who was found days later. Both of these women had so much going on for them. And as you can see, beautiful. Yet their families found them brutalized, not just dead. Like Nikki's family said that her body was so destroyed by whoever did what they did to her. And it doesn't make sense. And two dead models this close to each other in the month of September should raise all the red flags. But because of their skin tone, we're not going to hear peep outside these little articles and casts like mine, and that scares the shit out of me because this is serious. Even if they're not related, they're too close together for it not to feel like they could be related. And I don't want to see any more young women dying to this. And then you've got the other side of this violence. Let me get this article up because this shit flipped me out too. Not the Elijah McClain again, because that was already sad enough. Y'all know how I feel about youth pastors. I'm not too fans of them. I'm sorry. As somebody who's ex-evangelical because of all the stuff that I've seen and went through, but not anti-Christian. And, oh, thank you, honey. I was like, what is that sound? And they were found in an awful state. Welcome to the chat, Rain. In the state of California, they were brutalized. Like, I can't, because I didn't see crime scene photos, I'm going by what the family reported. The amount of violence done to their bodies was brutal. And what troubles me is that our news cycles, not a blip. When that Gabby Petito girl, not to act like what happened to her wasn't horrible, because it was, I heard about it all over the place. It was all over national news. They were talking about it on a talk show. True Crime YouTube had a fucking field day about it. We knew her boyfriend was a piece of shit. He was on tape being a piece of shit. Wall to wall about that young lady. 2 black models are brutally slaughtered, and not even a blip. It's on purpose at this point. And what I need people to understand is that this violence against women, it's not just women like us, but we deal with it prevalently. But you have these weirdo religious fanatics like this cuckoo bird here, who, I don't know if he just snapped. I don't know what his deal was. But this youth pastor decided, I'm done being the father and the husband. There's too much pressure on my brain, or whatever nonsense he's going to use to try to say that he had a crazy moment. He stabbed his wife and his 5 kids and then tried to set the house on fire. Unfortunately for this demon, none of them died. His wife and 2 of his kids are still in the hospital. The other 3, I believe, are with family members. But this genius youth pastor decided, I am going to snap, kill my family, burn the house down. And I need people to understand, because I know basic forensics is foreign to a lot of people, because most of us don't think on the terms of murdering and trying to destroy evidence. But I'm telling you, as somebody with both the background of studying forensics, even though I didn't go for a full degree in that, as somebody who respects those who actually do things like burning bodies and stuff, you're not going to get away with murder. Fire takes a lot to actually destroy evidence like that. And a lot of you idiot geniuses aren't even smart enough to know how to do an actual burn. You are idiots. This does not work like Hollywood. You are not going to murder your entire family, burn the house down, and ride off to freedom. You numbnuts. But what do you expect of somebody who at his age is still a literal youth pastor? I've never trusted that terminology. It's always weirded me out. And I had a whole line up a few Bonnet Chronicles ago of men like this who preyed on children. So it doesn't shock me when you got another story. What shocks me is how normalized the violence against his family is. He's not even the only story this year of a dude snapping and harming his family. We had another asshole in Ohio that murdered his 3 sons, hunted them down, literally chased them with a gun, and brutally shot them execution style. And this is on top of several domestic violence acts that are probably happening right now. And I know I'm a bit more passionate about it than I probably should be because I survived that with my former partner. And I know what it feels like to feel trapped and like you're not going to get out of this alive. But to have somebody that you love, that you trusted, that you took vows with, do this. This is the ultimate betrayal. And he didn't just do this to his wife, he did this to his kids. That's why I said we have got to stop looking away and normalizing violence. And welcome to the chat, Rain. Welcome to the chat, Gan and Raja. What bothers me about this story in particular is how the media will try to say, well, attempted murder and arson, and then try to swing it to where we talk about mental health again. And I always make them pause because there are millions of us that have mental health issues that just live our lives. We get help, we do what we have to do. But there are a lot of people that are out there causing trouble that we try to look away and just blanket them with the cover of mental health without realizing that no, they're just pieces of shit. This man utilized his position in society as a pastor to make it seem like he was pious and untouchable. And then he did one of the most heinous acts, trying to take the lives of his wife and children. And I'm telling you, when we dig deeper into this story, which I'm sure they're going to have to, I won't be surprised if there's another woman involved, maybe another dude involved, or even worse, another child involved. Because these fuckers' MOs are always the same. And we have got to stop looking away, turning our eyes away from this issue. Another thing that I seen earlier today, because I was ingesting news off and on while preparing for tonight's Bonnet Chronicles, this soccer player guy, and I like soccer off and on. I'm more of I watch the teams for the World Cup, but I know about the individual groups, and I don't even think it was soccer. I think he was a cricket player, and I don't really know fuck all about cricket, but I do know that they have a lot of international players. One of the problems with these international players is the misogyny. Now, this idiot went on Twitter. I'm not going to call it by its new name. The new name is stupid. Going on about how working women are inelegant. I don't understand that mentality in this day and age. I don't understand how anybody thinks a woman making her own money makes her somehow inelegant, but whatever, go off, dude. He got pushback for it. And instead of saying, these are my feelings, I know it's not everybody's feelings and I'm sorry, well, I can't be a misogynist because I have a mother. Misogynists have mothers. You can't really get away from that unless you're a literal test tube baby, and that's not an excuse. You have a shitty attitude towards women. You have a shitty attitude towards women earning their own money. You have a shitty attitude towards women having their own careers. And you have a weird ideology on women needing to be elegant for you, which is weird, dude. That's misogyny. I know a lot of people don't like that word being tossed around, but it's out there. And if you need to express your opinion on how women should carry themselves, live their lives, or be to be elegant to you, you're a misogynist. I know some dudes don't like hearing that and it makes them uncomfortable because they're like, oh, misogynists only hate women. No, I wish it was that simple. I wish the levels of misogyny was just those weirdos who think, well, if I'm not fucking you, I don't care if you live or die. And even if I am fucking you, I'll kill you anyway. Because that level of misogyny is dangerous. And trust me, I was with that level of misogyny, so I know it exists. But the ones that are the most insidious are the ones that think, well, you'll just be pretty if you smile more. I don't care if you literally have a mental disorder that stops you from even being able to just smile like that or anything about your life. I just think that you're here to be pretty for me. And if you smile more, that's more important to me than your mental health or whatever you're going through. Because you're just here to be a template for us. You're not here to be your own person. You're not here to grow and help things flourish. You are here for your role to be something I stick my part in. and ignore those that grew up not even attracted to you on that level. We'll still set up a society where you feel like that is your only function and role in society, and that's not going to fly. Welcome to the chat, Topher. There are too many of us now that realize that that is not our role. We can be anything we want to be, and you should want to be anything you want to be too. But there is a sickness in our society prevalent in trying to force things that should be forced, trying to force roles that don't fit anymore. And it's not that women don't want to be partners with people. It's not that men don't want to be partners. We just don't want to have to conform to these weirdo archaic rules that don't apply anymore. Heck, that's why there's so many more, especially young men, more attracted to 3D and 2D figures because it's easier for them to socially and interact with a literal cartoon than it is for them to figure their shit out and be a partner to somebody. And for women, it's almost the same now. It's easier to be on your own. And that's sad. That is going to be what destroys our society more than anything because we don't allow people to be confident in who they are. We don't let them grow up and understand themselves. We try to put weirdo moral restrictions on their identity and sexuality that doesn't work. You are not going to stop somebody who's homosexual from feeling what they feel. And we need to stop allowing these weirdo pseudo moralists telling people that they can't grow up and understand themselves because that's why our society is so fucked up and broken. We try to force people into these weirdo, unattainable, rigid boxes. And it gets to be too much. That could have been why this pastor snapped. And that's a sad thing because he thought, I'll just make myself normal. I'll just marry somebody and be in this relationship because this is the morality path. It doesn't matter if this is eating my soul up. And then they'd snap. Now I'm prefacing, I could totally be making that up because we don't know the whole story yet. But this story has happened several times before. And it is because our society keeps trying to force this weird narrative of normal down people's throats. And we have to stop if we want a better society, if we want the kind of society where kids can grow up confident in who they are without feeling scared, without feeling like they have to do drastic stuff. I want people to understand something about violence going into something a bit more personal because like I said, I don't like talking about my past that much. It's not a comfortable spot for me even though I'm in a very good relationship now. I try to think that because I'm in a good relationship, I shouldn't think about the past. But I can't be honest that moving forward means leaving behind all the baggage. It don't work that way. There are times where I remember just the bad times and fearful that you're going to go back to those days where your partner starts out great and then flips the script on you. It's not a good place to be. And the reason why we fear stuff like that is because it's so normal. One of the things I read earlier as well was people who think they have to stay in relationships when they're unhappy because they think unhappiness is part of that. Well, I'm not completely satisfied. I'm unhappy in this relationship, but I'm in a relationship and that should be the goal. And it's like, no, that's not the goal. Like I've said on many other Bonnet Chronicles, and I will continue to say it, every relationship is a partnership. Everybody should be given their all in it, and it should be both people working on it. And the problem with our current society, even, is a lot of people don't really want to work at it. They want to look the part. They want to say, I'm in a relationship, but they don't want to do the actual heavy emotional lifting that comes with being with somebody. You don't want to communicate. You don't want to talk. You don't want to be with somebody that you can be your full unapologetic self with. And then you wonder why shit falls apart. Because the moment that mask that you put on to get them slips, The moment they see the real you and they're just shocked because this wasn't how you presented yourself, everything falls apart. Instead of going with somebody and being yourself, you put on an act. And our society has fueled that with both Hollywood's romanticizing crap like that, TV shows, video games, and even comic books, romanticizing the illusion of how you got to carry yourself. When honestly, even an unapologetic geek like myself was able to find my partner. But it wasn't easy because at first I thought maybe I have to act a certain way. And no, you don't. When you find your best friend and you're able to be yourself around your partner, it's freeing. And I think too many people don't understand that still because our society doesn't want us to. They want us to fear being ourselves, they want us to fear finding somebody that will accept us like that because they want us to believe, oh no, you got to chase somebody that doesn't even look at you because that's the magic of love. It's not realistic. You miss out on an actual partnership, but you'll have that trophy. Even the term trophy, it's not just insulting, it's stupid. Because as somebody who used to win trophies when I played sports and stuff, I don't even have any of them anymore. The ones I did collected dust. Because what do you do for trophies except put them in a case if you're lucky? You throw them in a box and you might lament if you unpack them when you're moving stuff in the garage. Trophies are not stuff you show off, really. And the whole idea of a trophy spouse, that's weird and disgusting. Yet our society has normalized that crap too. That's why violence against us is so downplayed. Well, she's a trophy wife. What do you expect? She doesn't bring anything to the relationship. He's just dating her for arm candy. And it's like, why is that normal? When did our society twist like this? And then the historian brain of mine goes, it's always been like this. We haven't really changed that much from ancient times where women were literally bartered and pretty much sold into other families depending on the political or financial aspects of it. We still literally have cultural norms where dowries and forced marriages are a thing. And honor killings are still a thing, which blows my fucking mind because you would think that shit should be illegal still. It should literally be illegal, but it's not. And when you unpack the why, a lot of people will try to throw it back to, well, that book of Genesis said that women caused all the ills in the world and they should be punished for it. And it's like, so you're telling me that because of some supposed book with an original sin story, that you're going to justify centuries of brutalizing, victimizing, and harming women, of telling us that we're not good enough, smart enough, or capable of living on our own, which we've proven time and time again that's not true, of being smart, strong, whatever we need to be because a story in the Bible told you to punish us for the rest of our days. And we're supposed to just accept this. And this is why so many people are walking away from this. It's not faith that is toxic. It is the people that twist faith to keep us from progressing as a people, that make it harder for people to line up for that, especially for a woman. What's the incentive? You don't want to help us when we're being abused. You don't want to help us when we want to grow and make things better for people. You want to tell us that the only thing we're good for is to have babies, and then you don't even want to give us proper protection for that. The mother infant mortality rate in our country is still abysmal, and we're supposed to be a first world country. Yet you could literally die doing something that's supposed to be natural. I was watching Charlie last night, Penguin Zero, one of my favorite people to watch late night streams of. And he said it himself, I don't understand how we are still not evolved to the point where birthing, something that we're biologically set up for, especially as women, is safer. And that's because medically speaking, it's still a horror show. It was definitely worse years ago. And I said it already. It's probably a reason why I only have one right now, even though I've thought about having more. It was hard. They thought, well, you're a black woman, you can handle pain more, so I didn't get an epidural. The doctor pretty much downplayed all the pain I was going through because I could just handle it. That scared the crap out of me because I could have easily died. A, because of the anemia, B, because of the allergies I had, and C, because it didn't seem like they gave a flying fuck that this was not only my first pregnancy and I never had a pregnancy before go through full term, but just the ridiculous stereotypes that they put on black women and our ability to handle pain. It's scary. And now we have states literally making it a crime to even go to things like Planned Parenthood, making it a crime to literally be pregnant. The way their wording is, and not be able to carry it to term, you could do jail time for it. It is a scary time to be that gender that can do that. Because I don't even want to say it's just a woman thing because there are trans men, and I know that topic makes people want to record skip, but it's real. There are transgender men who can still carry. And I know that in some of y'all's prejudiced brains, you want to argue, well, that doesn't that make them women? No, it doesn't. And we need to be a society that starts to understand that that's a reality. It can and will continue to happen because being able to own your gender identity, I take it for granted. I love being able to understand my brain and know that I'm female and I love being female. I know plenty of my male friends that feel the same way. I love that I can feel confident in who I love and who I'm attracted to. So I want that for everybody. Even if I personally can't understand their path because I wouldn't, nor would I expect them to understand mine. Yet so many supposedly straight normal people think that, well, I know me, but I know you too. And it's like, no, that's not how that works, champ. That is definitely not how that works because even in supposed straight couples, there are a lot of differences depending on the household, depending on how you're raised, depending on what you like. We're not going to kink shame here, but honestly, I know that the stuff I'm into won't be what my friends are into, and vice versa. And I think that is awesome. That is what makes the fucking world go round. But if we left it to the weirdo moral majority, we'd all be screwed and not in the fun way. I want our society to get better. But we cannot because we are up against a red wall of reductionism, of Republicans trying to wave religious flags in our faces while doing anything but. I seen that video of Bobbert screaming about, you don't know who I am. Yeah, we know who you are. You're on tape literally groping and fondling. And then I seen the article where they wanted to say the guy that she was with was a Democrat. Like, that doesn't make the story any better. It just makes it even more of a hypocrite. Because, oh, you'll grab a Democrat's dick in public. You'll let him grope and feel you up until it looks bad for your career. You freaking. Ugh, she makes me so mad because she is the first to yell about being moral and attack the LGBTQ. But she's there at a freaking play that's all ages, mind you. And I'm not a prude. If this had been like a burlesque show or an adult show, I wouldn't have said nothing. I would have been like, yeah, she's a freak, whatever. And she went to an all ages performance and did all that. And barely a blip out of her. If it had been anybody else, it had been a dude, they would have been calling for his job. But because it's Bobbert, one of the Howler Monkey twins, as I like to call, nothing. And welcome to the chat, Gone. Exactly. Pee Wee's career never really recovered from that either. But this jerk who has literally spent her entire career lying, and I could dig up a whole plethora of how she got her career because I do believe that her and Muppet Green, they weren't originally in politics. Matter of fact, I'm still not understanding their trajectory from, I believe Bobbert used to be one of those girls that you could literally hire for anything. And I'm not saying that it was sex work, but I'm saying it was definitely sex work adjacent, allegedly, so I don't get sued. She had a whole profile. You could hire her. It was documented. She leaped over to politics. I'm not saying that anybody, that's one of the beauties in our country. I get told all the time I should run for something political. I really don't want to because I can't clothesline people that get on my nerves. And that would be about the only way I would want to be a congressperson. Mitch McConnell would get clothesline. Fucking Lindsey Graham, oh, totally clothesline. There's a lot of fucking old men that get on my nerves that would just get knocked the fuck out. So no, I don't think I would do well as a representative right now because I would always choose violence. But what troubles me about the Bobber thing is we ignore the fact that this person literally isn't qualified for the seat that she's invading. And she literally is on tape at 4 fucking K doing stuff that has literally destroyed other people's careers, and it's infuriating. And while I don't condone or want violence against women or people who identify as women, because our trans sisters definitely need some protection, I am sick and tired of these people who want to gatekeep what it means to be a woman with their weird pseudo morals, and they're anything but. She's a fucking hypocrite. She's not moralistic. Yet she'll be one of the loudest people for these weird pseudo Christian Republican nut jobs. Talking about we got banned books. We can't say gay in Florida. We can't allow people to feel confident in who they are and their sexuality because that'll reduce what I'm here for. And it's like, what troubles me is how prevalent and stupid their argument is, but how many of their yahoos eat it up, how many of them parrot it and make it hard for us to move forward in our society because we have structured our society to where they're loud and in charge. And that's on us. We could vote these motherfuckers out in droves. We could elect people that see all of us as viable citizens that want women's rights, whether we're trans women, whether we're cisgendered women, whether we're homosexual women, to be protected. We could live in a society where people can confidently learn who they are without feeling societal stigmas, and we could grow. But they don't want that because there is literal financial gain from their bigotry. And until that starts to really shrink up, we can't seem to get anywhere. That's why, even though we have made strides in both same sex marriage, supposed women's rights, civil rights, we are still continuously fighting these small battles as they try to take that away from us. And what's dangerous is the long strategy they've had in this, in literally having the majority in our Supreme Court, thus locking down our judicial checks and balance system, skewed in the favor of assholes like Alito and Thomas, Beer Guy and Handmaiden, because I refuse to learn their names. And even though we have Justice Ketanji Jackson Brown, it's not enough because we allow our country to be in the hands of a maniac for 4 years who swept two unqualified justices into the mix because he knew even if he lost, that was a big gain for them. And all these people are like, well, just expand the Supreme Court. What could be the damage? The damage is we expand the Supreme Court. We might get it where it's even equal or even, or we might get it where there are more liberal justices for a bit. But then you just get lax, like you did in 2015, 2016. You think, it's not going to matter. Nobody's going to vote for that knucklehead that's really loud. And he literally has a Pepe Frog banner. We've got pictures of him with a swastika. We won't have to worry. Nobody will vote for that person. Donald Trump literally mocked the disabled reporter. He's on tape forever with his grab him by the pussy line. He was fucking a crumb bum. Those of us from New York knew that. We tried so hard to warn this country, and you did us dirty. And 4 years, he did a lot of damage that we are still finding out about with the espionage thing, with the literal January 6th domestic terrorism plot. But what people didn't pay attention to were the little victories, like our Supreme Court. For it's these are lifetime appointments. These are people that have to choose to leave. And Thomas ain't going nowhere. He's made bank giving favors to people, looking the other way towards cases that he shouldn't. And he is on the warpath to help try to rescind all the rights that those of us who have to worry about our rights to exist. If you are LGBTQ right now, you should be concerned. But what you shouldn't fall is those weird populism messages of just expand. We need to vote like our lives depend on it because it often does. We need to vote like our rights are on the line because they often are. We need to vote like our humanity is at risk because when these idiot moral majority types are in charge, it often is. And I don't want to fear and scapegoat, but we have seen the damage that their weird pseudo morality has done to us. Our mental health, just our way of life, it's reduced when they're in charge of shit. And I don't want to see that happen. We are seeing in Michigan, in spite these fuckers literally trying to harm our governor, what having people that give a fuck in charge can do. Is it a perfect system? There's no such thing. We are humans. We are not going to be perfect. Our governor has fucked up a few times too, but she is doing her damnedest. That's why we have the chip plant here where we will be manufacturing the microchips and stuff that everybody's talking about, the new wave and stuff. We have legalized weed. Out of all the states, Michigan has so many good things happening for them because we have state representatives that give a fuck about all of us. Even those that don't want to vote for her, even those who literally threatened her life. That's what happens when you vote for people that care. And I just want more of us to understand what's at stake here. Even if you think that, oh, well, I am a part of the marginalized sect, but my skin tone might protect me a little bit more. It won't. These people don't care. And I don't say this just to fearmonger. I am concerned with the levels of apathy towards both violence, towards the normalization of certain things that doesn't make sense anymore. It doesn't make sense to me that we look away from these things and joke about certain things like a little sitting congressperson groping and being groped in a public place. I'm not a prude. If this, like I said, had been an adult place or a burlesque show, man, get your freak on. But because these people will turn around and attack my friends and family in the LGBTQ because of a moral thing, no, I got to call that shit out. You're the moral majority. You don't do bad things. Your little Christian group already took you off the speakers list for it. Because, oh, they caught the vapors, even though they knew that was your character. Come on now. It's the fakery for me. It would make me laugh if it didn't make me so angry. Because these people know exactly who they are. And most of us who even listen to them for a few minutes know exactly who they are. Yet we continue to let them waste our time in our House and Senate, and we have got to. This is on us. Lauren Boebert shouldn't have ever been elected in the first place, but she picked a district where people don't have to really think about it. So what we have to do is, I don't see her district changing anytime soon. They're not calling for her job. We have to make sure that the districts around her are blue. We have to make her job a lot harder. And it's not just the House, because that shit's already a shit show with McCarthy just wasting all of our time. And that's why I said, I'm not worried. I'm sure that we will be seeing Speaker Jeffries sooner than later. But I'm still worried about our Senate Because even though people are like, well, 10, you have a Senate majority now. No, it's a direct 50-50 split. And you still forget that the asshole from Virginia and the one that just jumped ship from, I believe, Arizona, wherever Sinema is from, we can't rely on them. Even though, unlike the squad, house wasters, they've at least voted for more democratic things than others. We can't rely on them though. And when you have unreliable people in the Senate, you can't just go, well, it's a 50-50 Democrat Republican split, because it's not. Homegirl's are independent now because she knows where the money's at, and it's being able to levy her votes. And it's sad that we still have that system in place, but if we want that to stop, we need to be the ones to vet, elect, and get these people in charge of us. It's not rocket science. And for some of you, it doesn't even take that much. I'm lucky. Here in Michigan, we have absentee ballot voting. Because I am technically, because of my mental health, classified as disabled, doesn't matter where I live in the state, as long as I file the proper paperwork, I can vote. After the pandemic, I was paranoid about that because I like to go to my polling place, but I didn't want to risk getting sick to vote. And when they announced that, no, you can do mail voting and you can sign up for permanent absentee ballots, yeah, I'm going to do that. I don't understand why people want it. And there are some states where you literally can vote by mail whether you need the absentee or not. So there's no excuse. But too many people make excuses. And until we stop making excuses, we're going to continue to see nonsense like this. I don't want to put everything on our shoulders, but when you think about, for me, how effortless it is for me to vote, I don't even think about it half the time, because by the time I'm actually filling the ballot out, I've already done my research. We're in a literal digital age. You can look up who's running, why. Some of them even have YouTube profiles. This is an age of information, yet we act dumb to it. And it just boggles my mind. And I just want us to be better people. I know we can. I feel like there are a lot of people that just don't get it. And I agree, Scott. He is so scary. I've seen the short circuit clips of him a few times. And I don't want to be ageist, because people can flip that around to our president. I don't like that shit. I've never believed that age should stop you from being able to do what you do, especially if you're using that age and wisdom to actually lead. But Mitch McConnell has been a craven opportunist for so long, to the point where that even if he steps down, he has finagled it to where only a GOP person can step into his shoes. And Kentucky, you need to get your shit together. I don't understand what the GOP is doing for your state, honestly. Your education system there is abysmal. I don't, if you want to look any closer to what Republican reductionism does, and I'm just like, I don't get the grip he has on your state, the grip the GOP has on your state in general. But on a national level, this is what I mean. Because some people love to write states like this off. If we put the amount of energy we put into complaining about things, into actually phone banking, helping Dems in those states push past the bullshit, help motivate voters who felt like, it's going to change, so why should I bother? That attitude is why assholes like McConnell will probably die in his Senate seat, and it makes me sad. Because he's a waste. A lot of them are a waste. And if we want any actual progress, if we want to actually be a first world nation instead of just calling ourselves that, we have to get those motherfuckers out while we still have the ability to, because don't think they're not trying. They're not trying to figure out a way to rescind our right to vote now, because they realize, oh, these people are too smart for us. They're a bit too liberated. We've got to figure out a way to call them back. And that's scary, because I remember my grandmother saying that to me. Vote. because they don't want us to. Vote because if you don't, they'll take it from you. And too many don't believe that. Too many don't want to believe it or don't think it matter anyway, and it does. In a society that has built itself off democracy, the moment we lose the ability to have a voice in that democracy, it becomes a fascist society. And I don't want to see that happen because it might not be all of my friends at first, but it'll be a lot of them. It'll be a lot of people who already are living scared in their state that their governor's going to pass a don't say gay bill or a heartbeat bill that doesn't even understand how gestation works in a female body. They don't even take into account how carrying a child to term functions, but they want to make laws about heartbeat bills. Our society is fighting. We are literally in the dark ages of the digital times. And I want to be here to see an enlightened period, but it is a literal fight against really dumb people. And if we want to get past their nonsense, it's on us. We've got people running, smart, savvy with lawmaking people running for this. They might not be rock stars because that's another illusion. Everybody wants the next Barack Obama, Kamala Harris. Everybody wants that person that can say what you want to hear and have a beer. That is not politics. I want the pencil pusher who's not just in it to be sung. And we have a lot of those people running. So this is your homework assignment, for you to know who's your representative and make sure that they are an equal voice in your society, that they are pragmatists, even if they are more liberal leaning or more in the middle, even if they consider themselves red. As long as they are willing to do their job for all of their constituents, because like I said, I've lived in the South. Senator Burr's office, even though I told him I never voted for you and I wouldn't, helped me out because that was his job and he told me as much. As a senator, it's not about Democrat or Republican. It is about helping your constituents. So that is who should be representing you, no matter what ideology you fall under political wise. And if that's not you, it's on you to vote to make sure that happens next time. And I'm going to get ready to wrap this up, y'all. Thank you so much for sitting in. Scon, Topher, Sweetie, everybody new in the chat. I will start getting better with seeing names and saying them properly. Like I said, with the move, we are like on Band-Aids and duct tape right now. I cannot wait till we get to the new house and I can get everything set up properly. But I definitely wanted to do this Tell It Tuesday because it really is important to me to keep these Bonnet Chronicles going on. But I am going to get ready to wrap this up, go make some dinner for Kiddo and I. Sweetie, you and the duct tape. You be careful coming down on Thursday, and I will see you all soon. They are the worst. I'm just ready to be done. Get up to the new house already. I am definitely ready. I'm ready for the house and I'm ready for the song. I know you were waiting last week for it too. And thank you, Fluffy. Welcome to the chat. It is. And it'll be worth it. Thank y'all so much for spending this time with me. I will see you on Friday night and you have a good week.